Titans in this battle, which is going to be General Skandar Akbar and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Now, the rules state there'll be 90 seconds used to be tied by the respective agents, and what happens is the bell at that 90 seconds, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan is going to have to untie himself to defend himself against General Skandar Akbar. But General Skandar Akbar is receiving the same treatment across the ring as Wendell Cooley is quickly tying up General Skandar Akbar. Now, what happens is once the bell sounds, the man who can get loose first has a distinct advantage in this battle. And this is a battle that was called for to settle the feud. But as you're going to see, the feud was not settled, but it will be this Friday night when General Skandar Akbar's Kamala, the Ugandan giant, 400 pounds of savage animal Kamala, locked inside a steel cage against this individual you're watching right now, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, loser leave town. Wendell Cooley still going to work, trying his best to help out his friend Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He wants to make sure that General Akbar is not able to untie himself before Duggan is able to. The fans here in the Coliseum, this is the first time ever in Houston Wrestling, an A-Train tough guy fight. You can hear Clete Dumpster giving the countdown. Then there it is, Duggan wasting little time and sending El Casario to the Coliseum floor, and he starts right away untying the rope. And Duggan now reaching in, takes a quick glance over, see how General Skandar Akbar is doing, as both men frantically try to get the ropes untied so they're able to attack their opponent. Look at Duggan. He's resorting to biting the rope, tearing at it any way he can. He wants his hands on General Akbar. This has been a dream of his for months and months to be able to finally even a score. And this Friday night, he's going to have to even a score against Kamala. That's General Akbar's main gun. You see, Duggan's had some success. He's able to break loose the first couple of knots, but El Casario did a great job in tying several knots throughout the turnbuckle. General Akbar is also making progress, and the race is on, and the excitement starts to grow, and the fans in the Coliseum start to become more restless with every second ticking away. They'd love to see Duggan break loose. Now, Dr. Death comes down to ringside. Akbar was clearly in trouble, and that's one way of getting out. Fortunately, that's not the legal way. Akbar had Dr. Death cut the rope. You can see his hand is tied. He's not in a very good position, but he's defending himself as best as possible, and that whip across the back by Akbar. Not just once, but over and over again. General Akbar, a master at taking advantage of situations where there's not exactly fair play involved. So Akbar now ripping across the face of Duggan, and it's tough to fight General Akbar, especially when you have one hand tied up. You can see Akbar pouring into Duggan. The referee trying to pull him away as they're into the ropes. But this was a no disqualification in A-Train tough guy fight. And this is the danger of this tight match, is that when you're caught with your hand tied up, you're especially vulnerable to the attack of your opponent. So Akbar pouring into Duggan. He stays after Duggan. The referee trying to keep Akbar away so that since they're in the ropes, Duggan wasting little time trying to use every precious second he can battle to try to break that hand loose. And there it comes. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, much to the delight of the thousands and thousands of wrestling fans at the Coliseum, got that hand loose, and Akbar knew he was in trouble at this moment. Akbar's army, who were in the back of the Coliseum watching the match, also knew the general was in trouble, because Duggan, with both hands free, nobody can stop him. That's the prediction of Duggan's huge army of fans. And we'll find out this Friday night inside the steel cage if Kamala can indeed stop Duggan. It's going to be the most savage battle of the fall season. Now Duggan now giving Akbar a little bit of his old medicine with that whip of his, and dries his fist. Keep in mind, in this A-Train tough guy battle, there's no disqualifications. It's not your usual wrestling match. Duggan now enjoying the moment, enjoying the fact that he has got Akbar exactly where he wants him. A long, long search for this moment, and Duggan has found it. And Akbar now on the receiving end of the wrath of Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And what a popular wrestler Duggan has become here at Houston Wrestling, one of the all-time greats. But that reign may come to an end this Friday night, because if Duggan loses, he has got to pack his bags. He likes it, or the fans like it, or the promoters of Houston Wrestling like it, Duggan will have to go. El Casario now trying to come to the aid of their general. That's Zambui. But Hacksaw Duggan is taking care of business. And right now, the numbers are just too big. And Duggan trying his best to fight back. And El Casario with that karate chop to the throat when Duggan was being held by Zambui. We've got El Casario working on Duggan. We've got Zambui holding him and General Akbar holding him, as all three men tear into Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And as the injustice continues, Casario, one driving slash after another, and into the ring comes the mysterious Masked Man. He popped out of the Coliseum crowd. No one saw him coming. He popped in there. He started to clear the ring, and he's got General Akbar begging for mercy. General Akbar cut open and bleeding, mercy, but Casario quickly finding out that this Masked Man means business, and the Masked Man clears the ring. Akbar's out. El Casario's out. Zambui's out. The battle is over. The fans are going crazy. The Masked Man made his debut. Is that the Midnight Rider? And who is the Midnight Rider? If that's the Midnight Rider, he's also going to be at the Coliseum this Friday night. The hand high five by Duggan to the Masked Man as the man
takes Casey, whips him across the ring, kicks the legs out from underneath the Cowboy, dives in there with that hit right to the chest. Here's the count. It's 1, 2, and Casey kicks him off again, and Adams wants a faster count. Chris Adams reaches down, takes the head of Scott Casey, slams it into the steel ring. Chris Adams takes Scott Casey, brings him over this way, slams his head into the steel cage again. The fans begin to yell, Casey, Casey, Casey. There's a knee across the chest. Casey has a leg over the bottom ropes. Adams complaining he didn't get the 3 count. Chris Adams takes Cowboy Scott Casey. Oh, he tried to suplex him. Casey turns it around, and it's Scott Casey suplexing Chris Adams. Casey has the fist ready, but he takes Adams instead, slams him into the steel cage. Ooh. I don't know why you'd want to use the fist anyhow. That cage is a lot harder. Here comes Casey, brings Adam this way, right into the steel cage again. Scott Casey turning things around on Chris Adams. Here's a count from the referee, George Stevens, and it was 2. I'm sure Chris didn't want a fast count that time. Slam by Casey. Oh, and Adams gets the knees up, and Casey right into the knees. There's a fist to the back of the head. Another fist to the back of the head by Chris Adams on the Cowboy Scott Casey. Adams has Casey up, slams him down. Chris Adams bouncing off the ropes. Shoulder knocks Casey back to the mat. Adams. Oh, it's Casey going in behind. Casey has him rolled up. 1, 2, no, they reverse it the other way. It's Chris Adams holding on to the trunks and has Scott Casey down for the 3 count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and Chris Adams wins it here inside the steel cage. Mark Nolte is complaining, the ring announcer is complaining that Chris Adams had hold of the trunks of Scott Casey. Casey now is complaining, the fans are yelling, the referee George Stevens is checking. Casey, oh, and there's a reversal. Scott Casey Casey has his hand raised. Adams doesn't like it at all. Adams doesn't like it at all, and he is going after Scott Casey has him tied up in the rope. Chris Adams pounding that fist into the side of the jaw of Scott Casey. Here comes Adams again. Casey moves. Adams dives into the steel cage. There's a kick. Chris Adams comes out of the cage. And Chris Adams has come out of the cage. Casey has been declared the winner. Wait a minute. Here comes $1 Million Man and Gary Hart. Bruiser Brody, the $1 Million Man, has come into the ring. And Gary Hart has closed the cage, and it's Brody with Casey. Unscheduled, Brody appears, takes the boot to Casey, and now there's that 2x4 that has appeared every time that Brody appears on the scene. And Bruiser Brody is here pounding on Scott Casey. He is taking that 2x4 right to the chest of Casey. Now he's trying to get to the referee, George Stevens. George better look out or he's going to feel that 2x4. There's that 2x4 going into the midsection of Scott Casey. Gary Hart is there. You see him egging Brody on. Referee George Stevens trying to keep him back, but who is going to hold Bruiser Brody back? There the bell is sounding. Scott Casey was the winner of the cage match, but he is not going to get out of here on his own as Gary Hart is motioning for the Metatrans ambulance service to come down to ringside with the gurney and take Scott Casey. We see the red lights, and there comes the Metatrans. Now, when you hear the ambulance, you know that Bruiser Brody is on the scene. Brody has pounded Scott Casey so much with that 2x4 that there's no way that Casey's going to get out of the ring on his own. The Metatrans people are bringing the gurneys. And you just saw Brody waylay George Stevens, the referee. Brody is coming out of the ring. The Metatrans people are coming in. Brody is going out through the crowd. And everybody steps aside as Brody moves through the crowd. The Metatrans ambulance service in the ring, and they'll be attending to Scott Casey. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our time has expired here on Texas All-Star.